Episode numero ocho of Making the Case. Does money have more of an impact than religion? Let's get it. Hey, welcome back, my guys, to another episode of Making the Case. This is episode number 8, by the way. I'm no other than your host, Dr. Jacob Isom, author, educator, speaker, entrepreneur. So I'm really looking forward to this episode. But before we get into it, you already know I have to go over my 2 channel norms. 1, we attack points and not people. And 2, we don't do all the defamatory remarks and all the cussing. We try to keep it professional. Okay. Without any further ado, let's get into my opening statement. So, what is the title for today's episode? The title for today's episode: Does money impact us more than religion? Now, my case is absolutely it does. All right. There are tons of evidence, but of course, I'm going to bring to you 3 pieces of evidence for me to make my case on why money is more impactful than religion. Well, we can first of all start by saying, well, God is on our money, right? So we want to give the illusion that God is for us, is for our chosen system of currency, right? We know that paper money and any other form of money is something that was created by men, right? We know that God didn't ordain currency, capitalism, consumerism, right? These are things that human beings made up, okay? And what I really want to do now is, before we move forward with our pieces of evidence, is I want to show you a definition of money. All right. You know, I love defining words because it gets us on the same page. All right. So let me read to you a definition of money real quick. So, money, by the way, this is from Merriam-Webster Online Dictionary. Something generally accepted as a medium of exchange, a measure of value, or a means of payment. And I don't even want to go into the sub definition they have, right? Because they're pretty much saying the same thing. But I think this main definition is extremely important. Something generally accepted as a medium exchange. So, one point in time, that was the barter system, right? Exchange, something that we thought was of value, measure of value, right? I have something that you consider valuable. You have something I consider valuable. That's the exchange. All right. Or means of a payment. Okay. I'm paying you for a service rendered. That is the definition of money. Okay. So we know that money takes many different forms. Nowadays, we get cryptocurrency, right? So I want to read that to you real quick so we can be on the same page when we talk about money. So money takes various forms, whether that's coin, whether that's paper, whether that's digital, right? Money has impacted us in various different ways to the point that we've created a class system, right? That a lot of people would say is classism. Okay. We know that the system that we created with money have people on the top and those at the bottom. And as long as we subscribe to a system like that, there will always be winners and losers. And a lot of time, religion is not put into the fray. We're not talking about it. All right. Most people care about getting money, getting that bag. Have you ever heard of these terms before? I'm sure you have. Okay. How often do we mention money and how often do we mention religion? Religion has its set days, right? Wednesday and Sundays. You might be 7-day Adventist and go on Saturday, right? But religion has its set days. What about money? 7 days a week. What do we say? Money never sleeps. Money is more impactful than religion. But to further prove my case, I got 3 pieces of evidence. So, for my piece of evidence, number 1, how and why I believe that money is more impactful than religion is that money is universal, right? So no matter where you go on this planet, there's some form of currency, some system of payment, some exchange, right? I read to you the definition of money. So if money is universal, then it's also competing with religion, which is also considered to be universal. So it's kind of tit for tat, right? So I actually found an article that is a really good read that's kind of helped making my case on why I think money is more impactful than religion. And it actually comes from Inquiries, which is a platform that I'm not familiar with, but we're going to become familiar with it together, right? And the title of this article is The Universal Prayer: How Money Became the World's First Shared Religion. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. So, money is a term difficult to define. It is a concept subject to deep individual interpretation. For some, money means power, to others, a way of living. Some say it begets stability, and there are those who believe it is at the center of everything. In fact, I am one of those last people. All right. So, even the person who wrote this article believed that money is the center of everything. And a lot of people agree with that sentiment. From my perspective, I see money as something that can become anything due to its existence as a medium of exchange. It is something universal in the sense that the entire world accepts its existence and value, and it represents a common want and to a degree a common need among all people. This universal importance makes it in some way similar to religion. I just get through saying that, right? Money is universal, religion is universal. Related to this thing, Aristotle had a particular way of explaining how the world works that divided society into good and bad citizens based on whether they pursued satisfy men's limited needs, the natural goods, or if they were in search of the unnatural, which he regarded as all that served to fulfill their unlimited wants. For Aristotle, the unlimited wants of humans represented a problem in the world. Money as an end represented something unnatural. So he suggested it only was to be used as a means to an end, which I actually agree with. Money for me is a means to an end. I find value in money and that it serves a means to an end. Most people don't look at it that way. However, we now live in different times, and if Aristotle were alive today, he would likely have had a completely different set of beliefs. The world has evolved into a place where people are driven to consume and spend, and money has become as natural to us as its possibility could. So some, and I will be one that would say that money has kind of outpaced religion, right? So to the point that we understand the value and the importance of money, and now religion is kind of taking a back seat for most people. I didn't say God, I said religion. A lot of people believe in God, but they don't believe in religion. That's a whole nother video. Let's keep reading. As something so natural to us, money is a part of our lives from the moment we are born. Our interpretation of it continues to evolve until the day we die. In our childhood, we encounter our first economic decision, like what to spend our allowances on. We also start to understand that things have a certain value. And since we do not have the means to attain them, we behave properly in order to be rewarded by our parents with what we want. Then, when we grow a little more, we get a job and start becoming more independent. Even though our parents are still accountable for us, the more independent we become, the more we discover that the value of money. Once we become completely autonomous, we work hard to get the highest income possible because that is what we are supposed to do. Finally, we then have the responsibility to provide for our kids. So it's not only our life that is affected by how much money we have, but also someone else's, even though this is not the case for everybody. It is an example of how the concept of money has not only changed through history, but also changes in our mind. So money, of course, has evolved, right? Just like religion has evolved. But money has evolved to the point that now we got different forms of it. And now it becomes even more important to us, particularly as young kids, right? We give kids money when they're young to try to teach them how to use money. Now, we try to give religion to kids when they're young, but they tune it out, right? Kids don't like going to church. They don't like to sit down and listen for hours. So you can see how money is kind of getting ahead of religion, even at an early age. Let's keep reading a little bit more. Along the same line, money can also have many different interpretations depending on different factors that define people. For example, the level of wealth is something that can affect how someone will perceive a certain amount of money. $100 bill can have a completely different meaning for a rich, middle-aged man living in Beverly Hills than for a poor kid living in Somalia. If money is scarce in our life, we then tend to value a certain amount of it more than someone who has plenty, and therefore behave different towards it. Also, its origin can affect our behavior. For instance, if someone won the lottery, that person will probably spend it on things he would not otherwise have. Therefore, the way we value money is affected by how much we have worked to attain it. Let's get to this. During the Middle Ages, religion was very predominant in a way the Catholic Church controlled almost every part of society, the economy, politics, and so forth. In Western Europe, Catholicism was something everyone took for granted because that is what people were taught since the beginning of their lives. Money plays a similar role in today's society. Like medieval Catholicism, the value of money is something no one questions, and everyone believes in it or is forced to believe in it, right? So actually, no, I'm going to keep reading a little bit more because I think this next paragraph is important. Actual economic system is similar to the medieval religious system in many ways. First, it had a hierarchy headed by the Pope, the highest power, who supervised the different churches headed by their priests and archbishops. And they in turn are higher ranked than regular people since they are messengers between them and God. On the other hand, our economic structure today in the United States consists of the Federal Reserve as a regulator of a holy see of the financial sector, with Ben Bernanke as our own economic pope. Then we have banks, which play the same role as churches in terms of money. There are many rituals in both cases. We go there and make deposits the same way people in the Middle Ages went to church to make their confessions in order to prove their devotion to faith, which was valued in a similar way to how we value our money. Also, when we open up a bank account, it is like baptism in economics, or maybe our first communion. Furthermore, if we see capitalism as the most important determinant of our economy, we can see Adam Smith as economic Jesus Christ. I love that breakdown and the analogy when it comes to religion and money. It's a beautiful breakdown, right? So now we see not only that money can be more impactful than religion, now money can be considered our religion, as the articles is kind of speaking to, right? So we value money, not that we don't value religion, right? Is that money we can touch, we can see its impact. Religion is a belief system, right? So we won't really find out if what we believe in is true until we're no longer here. So which one is going to be more impactful or important to you? Something that you can see in real time, or something that's based off of hope and belief? All right. Hey, let's get into our second piece of evidence. So my piece of evidence number 2 of why I feel like money is more impactful than religion is our obsession with money, right? So our whole mentality, we have believed and we then bought into the idea that money makes the world go round. Money is everything to our lives, right? So if you're so consumed about getting a job, going to work, if you don't go to work, well, how you gonna make money? You gonna get food stamps, welfare. Well, so everything is based off of a system of you got to get money in some way, shape, or form, which of course lead to illegal activities, right? So you're going to get it legally or illegally, right? So for my second piece of evidence, I have an article from a platform called High Existence. It was an article written by Ben Fishel. It's called The Secret Religion of the Dollar: How Money is Really Impacting Your Life. So let's get into it. So this is a quote by Alan Watts. Yes, one could take a whole handful of crisp dollar bills and practically water your mouth over them, but this is the kind of a person who is confused, like a Pavlov dog who salivates on the wrong bill. But I think many of us salivate over money, right? Many of us feel conflicted by money. We are uncomfortable with the control it has over our lives, but we know we are stuck in the system in which we need it for survival. We see it cause wars, but also seemingly heal the sick. It's something we touch every day, but never seem to really grasp. That's because money is an idea. No different than God, though, right? They share similarities. One is just more impactful than the other. The quote above by the late Alan Watts touches on our misguided values when it comes to money. Watts, on the other, has talked extensively about how money has become mistaken for happiness, and about how the accumulation of money has become the end of goal of life in and of itself. The following article will try to explore a few things: the history of our appreciation of money, misconception we have about money, the impact it has on our culture, and where we might go from here. So this next section is really the only section I really want to touch on because it gets right at the heart of what my case is. The number one reason people hate America, the number one reason is because of our religion. Americans worship money. We worship money. Separate God from school, separate God from work, separate God from government. But on your money, it said, "In God we trust." All my life, I've been looking for God, and He's right in my pocket. Americans worship money. And we all go to the same church, the Church of 18. And this is from Chris Rock's special, Never Scared. And it is so true, though, right? We love money so much, we will do anything for it. The 20th century saw the fall of widespread religious influence like we have never seen it before. At home, many people still practice their belief, but the dominant cultural narrative was one that lacked a firm confidence in God and, in turn, a cohesive philosophy. The notion of divinity, for example, no longer held a position of paramount importance in our lives, and as it had done for millennia, millions of individuals in the Western world seem to keep their religious affiliation for culture rather than for spiritual reasons. Right. I argue that many people will claim to be religious just in case, right? So they're doing it because they don't want other people to think a certain way, right? So we're so influenced by the larger culture, the larger society. So most people are going to follow, all right? Even though deep down inside, it's a different story. But ideologically, this wasn't enough. It left a profound gap in our culture. Man has always needed a story, a myth, by which to arrange his belief system in a way that his psyche can digest. The narrative that took the place of traditional Judeo-Christian values in Western culture was fundamentally based upon the ideas that came with capitalism. One key underlying belief was that men were in control of their own destiny and should build, produce, and own their fruits of their individual labor. The cause of this change is debated, but largely attributed to the scientific revolution and the emergence of free markets, neither of which wanted to be shackled by theology. So money kind of sprang from the church. Of course, the church was taking tithes and things of that nature. So the church was getting money, right? So it's just that money system kind of grew out the church and got larger than life. In the United States, the American dream, the pursuit of happiness, was intrinsically tied to these notions. The dream was initially a modest ideal, basic freedoms, and the potential for financial stability, though what has spawned in the last half a century is a culture obsessed with consumption and one that expects nothing less than extravagance. And I'm going to end right there because that's the part of the article that really touches on the point that I'm trying to make. So our hunger and need for money, and really it has a lot to do with the influence that we want, right? Social media. Nowadays, anybody could build a following on social media and become somebody. And with becoming somebody, it's the money that comes with it, right? So it's the look, it's a prestige. So money is the glue to it all. So we're so obsessed and we love money so much that it's our whole existence. And religion and God is kind of in the background. We'll have moments where we have those conversations, like I said, on Wednesday and Sundays, right? Where we'll have those conversations. But then as soon as we leave, the conversation is all about money. It kind of is what it is at this point. I don't see it changing. All right. You guessed it. My piece of evidence number 3 of why I believe that money is more impactful than religion. Well, there is the whole idea that money springs from the churches, right? So you watch the video where the guy was talking about it's so much money in religion. Well, he said churches, but he was right the first time, right? There's money in religion. So you see these super duper wealthy pastors, right? Like TD Jakes and Joel Osteen and a couple other Creflo Dollar, right? Like riding private jets, right? Like, where do you think that money is coming from? Okay. So even capitalism is in the churches. Okay. So these bigger than life personalities who preach from the pulpit preach a certain message that they know talking to people's emotions. They will say it's talking to their spirits, right? Which I wouldn't deny that, right? But at the end of the day, what is behind the message in churches, in religion, is money. Money is the backbone of it. Okay. So we're not just now, hundreds of years ago, we came from a position where people just wanted to worship something they thought was bigger than themselves. But that's not the case anymore. Now, what we see is people understand that, hey, I have to make money. Okay. Believing is one thing, but I have to make money. And where can you make money? You can make money in the church. Okay. Like, I mean, the piano player, the drummer, they're making money. Now, they might not be great money, but most of them probably would not be doing it if they wasn't making money. Now, you do have your situation with some people are volunteers, right? You do, but the church is a business. Okay. It's tax exempt. So, like, it's big business in churches, and everybody understands this. So everybody understands that the money aspect, there's money, there's a treasurer in the church, right? What do you think the treasurer do? The treasurer handles money. All right. So the money aspect is always going to be there. And it's going to be a little bit more important than the religious aspect that is tied to God. All right. Let's get into my closing statement. So I didn't make this video to attack religion, to attack the church, to attack those people who have belief system, right? We all believe in something. I just wanted to actually hold us accountable for, and we all play a part in it, right? Because at the end of the day, we're talking about a system. So now some of us play a bigger role and a bigger part than others, but we all play a part. And some of it we have no choice but to, because we live in a country that is dependent on creating a system that is going to create winners and losers, right? And if you're stuck or forced to be in that position, you're going to try to win, right? So it makes sense. It's just simple human behavior. But even with that being said, there are some adaptations and some things that we can change, right? Money is more impactful for religion because we make it that way, right? Nothing goes down without us participating in it. I'm a person who doesn't like to have the fancy things and the designer brands and things of that nature, but that's me. I don't want to participate in that. All right. So whenever you see me, you're gonna see me with my own brands, right? But that's just me. And supporting small businesses. Once again, that's just me. So, but we all participate in this system one way or another. And what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to look at ourselves in the mirror and realize how much we have bought in to the money game. All right. How much we have bought into wanting to be bigger and better than somebody else and treating them as such. Because what we see going on now is not the Christian way, it's not the Islamic way, the Catholic way, because we have people participating in pornography, OnlyFans, stealing, etc., committing crimes, selling drugs, right? And most of these people would consider themselves religious. And you know why it's going on? Because money is more impactful than religion. At the end of the day, they want money and they want a lifestyle. And their religion takes a back seat to that. But we have to hold people accountable for that. If you're going to call yourself something and say you have morals and values, then we need to see it. But clearly, money is more valuable than your values, your religious values, I should say. All right. So we got work to do. Can things be changed? There's always a possibility. The probability may be slim to none. Because as long as we still subscribe to this ideology that money runs everything and it's all about money, that's kind of where we are. All right, we're going to end today's episode on that note. Once again, I'll leave the links in the description so you can pick up the merch, pick up the books, you know. So please, please, please support. It helps the channel out. And as always, I'm you, you are me. Love always, love eternal. Remember, the worst thing you can do is lie to yourself. And this case is Close. Deuces.